Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Dice Tower Live Q&A. Normally done on Mondays, but today brought to you on a Thursday. Today is, well, let's get this to the right watch setting. The 15th of February. We're halfway through February. So we are now, let's see, 3/24ths, 1/8 of the year is over. Whew. Years go by quickly. I just got back from Montreal, Canada. Came back yesterday, went up there, visited Plan B Games, and went to Randolph's pub. There was some gaming going on there, so if you were there and I saw you, hello, and thanks for having me. It was a great time. And what we do here on our show is I answer questions, and if you guys ask them, I don't answer everything, of course. It's up to how interesting the questions are, so if you have questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments, and I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can. So far, I'm caught up, and that's an unusual thing. So everyone's saying hi, which isn't necessarily questions. Next week, we'll be in Ohio, me, Sam, and Z at Miami University there, so hope to see some of you guys there. And Otter says, Avast, Captain. Thank you, Otter. I appreciate that. But mostly people just saying hi so far, so I'll just talk. Got some new games in today. One of the things that's going to be going up today, tomorrow, the next day, or over is some previews. Not previews, but like first impressions of Coimbra and the new games from Plan B Games, so I had a chance to see them. What did you think of Coimbra and Reef? Well, I can tell you right now, Coimbra is a great heavier Euro-style game. It's very much in the line of, if you like Lorenzo Magnifico, I think you'll like this one. It's very much along those lines. Reef is from Emerson Matsuuchi. It is a card-playing game where you're putting these tiles down in a grid pattern trying to match things, which I've seen these before, but it's done in a really great way. I really like it. I think it's going to be a pretty big hit, actually. All right. Let's see here. Cyclades versus Lords of Hellas. Which do you think will sit higher in my top 100? Ooh, I'm glad you didn't ask Kemet versus Lords of Hellas, but that's probably Kemet. Cyclades versus Lords of Hellas? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see as the year goes by. I don't need to do my top 100 anytime soon. But I did play a game this week that's going to hit my top 100 easily. I think I've played 3 games this year that could be in my top 100. But the thing is, each year the top 100 gets narrow and narrow because the games I play grows and grows. Let's see. Just came across an old Q&A with you and Laura. Any chance of you doing another one with her? Well, sure, but we'll see someday. How do you designate tasks at the Dice Tower? I make charts. Was it your first time at Plan B Games? Kind of, sort of. I went up there 2 years ago for Tabletop Day, but at that point they were F2Z Entertainment. So it's a different company, but most of the people are the same. Are you excited for the Caverna expansion? I am. Do you know when I start typing Eric Lang on Instagram, it autofills to Eric Summer instead? Wow. Does Eric Lang use Instagram? I don't know who's on what different platforms. Instagram is not one I know as much about. Have I heard any rumors about a new printing of Witness from Istari? I have not. If you could play any game you would want right now, what would it be? Awkward guests. Let's see. Have you caught much of the Olympics? Well, considering I was in Canada and at the hotel at night, I watched some TV before I conked or in the morning, and it was all Olympics all the time. So I watched quite a few things. I watched a lot of curling, actually. The couples curling, I found that more interesting than normal curling, or mixed curling, I think is what they called it. I watched some speed skating. I watched some ski jumping. I watched several different sports. I didn't see bobsledding. That's actually my favorite one, but I've seen some of that. So that was, I really like it. I wish I was still in Korea so I can go see some of these because it looks like there's a lot of empty seats at a lot of these events. So it's probably pretty easy to get in. Can I say hi to Rose from Brazil? Hi. Let's see here, blah, blah, blah. You know, one of the questions I think I should just put out there, I'm probably never going to answer is people saying, where are you in this campaign? Where are you in this campaign? What's the best way? I'm kind of tired of Gloomhaven/Seventh Continent questions. I get asked them so often, like, what's the best player count? Where are you now? What are you Oh, it's like, I actually, for my life, am playing lots of board games, so I don't get to play these games as much as I'd like to, those particular ones, and it just gets asked a lot. So if you're wondering why I'm skipping over those, it's because it's the same thing. Who's your favorite character from Gloomhaven? Who's your favorite unlocked character? Which characters you suggest for beginning players? Blah, 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 blah. Go ask the Gloomhaven experts. I just like the game a lot. I am not an expert on it by any means. Let's see here. Mythic Battles or Lords of Hellas? I haven't played Mythic Battles. It looks really cool, but I haven't played it. I've only played Lords of Hellas. That would probably be a better question for Sam. Where'd you get your giant D6s? I get them usually at ChessX booths at conventions. ChessX has them, and you can buy them online too. The thing about ChessX that's interesting is they often discontinue colors, and so sometimes at these booths they'll have a box of discontinued dice. They're cheaper than the rest, and that's usually where I get the dice from there because they're more inexpensive. I thought the segment on your last podcast with the guest speaker about the industry was one of the best and most informative segments I've listened to in a long time. I'd be interested to hear more. Well, you probably will hear more. We'll definitely be having more things. I have an open call out for people to come, and of course I'm going to pick people because when I do an open call like that, I get a lot of response to it. But last year, when I did a video for Board Game Breakfast about local game stores, there was a lot of angst from many local game stores. And so I put out the call and said, come on my show. I would love to talk to people like that. I always tell people when they're on my show, we don't play gotcha, or I'm not going to try to catch them or disprove them. I want people to hear different sides of voices. And I haven't had too much response from that end of things, but I might have some. So when that happens, you'll hear them on our show. Let's see here. Can you update some of your old top 10 videos to make them more modern? You have not been watching our top 10s this year. All the top 10s we've done so far this year, except for the anticipated from 2018, have been reworkings of older ones from 4 years ago, I believe. So yes, we are currently taking a look at our older ones and redoing those. We will do new ones as time goes by, but looking at the older ones is more useful. Good morning, it's my birthday, says John. Happy birthday, John, and it's Happy Chinese New Year. That's right. So, or Happy Lunar New Year, anyway. It was Valentine's Day yesterday. Let's see. Where do you get your large D20s? Those I don't get from ChessX. I think ChessX might have them, but I get the D6s from ChessX. The D20s I've gotten online, and a few of them were sent to us by listeners, which was very nice of them. Which game in your collection do you think is ranked lowest on Board Game Geek? Oh, that's a good question. It's probably one of my kids' games, I'm guessing, because kids' games tend to get ranked lower. Any news on a second 30-hour gaming marathon? Yeah, sure, but it's going to be later this year. We're not doing it right now, at least. Summer Olympics or Winter Olympics? I think I like Winter Olympics better than the Summer Olympics. I like them both, though. What's your favorite food to grill on the barbecue grill? Shrimp, probably. I haven't done shrimp for a while, though. I've been looking at stuffed fables for my 5-year-old. Do you think the gameplay mechanisms would be at least within the grasp of understanding? Possibly, but I mean, if you're there, you can kind of walk him through it, I think, to some degree. He might not understand anything. You're like, oh, why don't you roll this die and try to get this kind of number? Top 5 favorite Subway sandwiches. Nice. Well, I like the spicy Italian. I mean, there's so many, by the way, they don't get the Reuben. I usually get something with chicken because it's the healthiest choice. Sometimes I get the turkey or the spicy Italian. The meatball one is pretty good. I'd have to go sit there and look at all of them and write it down. Top 10 favorite Olympic events. There's so many Olympic events I like. I like archery from the Summer Olympics a lot. I like bobsledding. Bobsledding is probably my favorite. I just think it's really neat. I like speed skating. I like figure skating. I like skating in general. I like, what else do I like? I like the decathlon. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting ones. Soccer, football. Let's see here. Any tenant plans for when the guys will debut Tower Talk? I do not know when that's happening. That's up to Z and Mark. No one on our team was affected by events in Parkland. No, no one. Someone in my church knew somebody was mentioned last night, but as far as I know, nobody here has any connection with anyone from Parkland. But yes, it's a very unfortunate and sad situation. Tom, a lot of Kickstarters have bigger dice for the games as stretch goals. I often find bigger dice to be cumbersome when rolled over a board full of tokens. Yeah, maybe. I guess I haven't seen any dice. Kickstarter has bigger dice as a stretch goal. Bigger dice feel better. You probably shouldn't be rolling dice over the board anyway. Maybe use a dice tower or anything. I like bigger dice myself, usually over smaller ones. Being a reviewer yourself, how often do you use reviewing services to inform your opinion as a consumer, like Rotten Tomatoes or Yelp? Oh, all the time. I'll go to Rotten Tomatoes and I always look at some good reviews and bad reviews of everything because I'm curious. Yelp, I do the same thing, although I know there's been a lot of manipulation in Yelp. But when it comes to a restaurant in Yelp, I'll look at it and I'll see what did they complain about. Because many times in the reviews on Yelp, you can tell that the person who's complaining is the kind of person who that they weren't going to be satisfied no matter what. You know, they'll say something to the effect of, oh, you know, our server they brought us the water and I asked for it to be cold and it was slightly chilled. I'm like, oh, wow, this person's a real pain in the neck. You know, that sort of thing. Or if they just say, everything here is garbage. I'm like, garbage? I don't know. Is it? It's hard to explain, but sometimes you can read a review of somebody and you're like, yeah, that person's impossible to please. So I kind of take all that stuff into account and I look for someone, I'm like, oh, that person mentioned things I'm interested in, I'll try it out. But I will say that Yelp is pretty good. At least you can look. If they have a fairly high ranking across the board, it's usually a pretty good place. Are you aware of the new Nintendo Labo toys? Yes, I think it's cool. Someone says, is this technology of any place in a hybrid board game, video game? Sure. I don't know how that would happen, but if it happened, I'd certainly be interested in it. Who would you like to guest on a top 10 list, like you did with Rado and Jason? I don't know. I'm thinking about having guests on them in the future, but it's just a question of getting them down here. How do you feel about Kickstarters taking 2+ years to deliver a game? It all depends on what the reasons are that make it long and lengthy. Some games just take a while because there's a lot going on in those games, in the production of the games. Production of games takes a while. See, a lot of games that you see and hear about, the production of them has started a long time ago. I know the Dice Tower Essentials games, there's a Critical Mass, which is coming out this year from Dice Tower. That's great. But that game was signed, I think, in 14 or 15. It's been a long time coming. They've been working on it. With Kickstarter, the consumer sees the process, so it seems longer to them. Can we get an update on the Kickstarter Pledge Manager? Well, actually, we have a phone call to hopefully finish it up tonight. That's scheduled. The money from the Kickstarter finally has been processed. We haven't gotten it yet, but that's been processed, so that's good. So that helps us weed out the people who are not going to pay. And so we'll have that Pledge Manager too, and there's a couple things we added to it that were not in the Kickstarter itself, like some promos from previous years. Like the Pledge Manager, you'll be able to get the Tom, Rick, and Eric Summoner from last year if you missed them from last year, because we have some extras of those, and like Dead of Winter packs and some of the promos that we've had from previous years. Some of the hot promos will be added to that you can add on if you want. If you were a camel, how many humps would you have? About 7 or 8. Have you thought of making an FAQ for yourself? Yes, we do. I just don't have it linked in the description, but there's one on Board Game Geek. Where's me Lucky Charms? They sell them now in a box without the cereal. And me and Chief Sokotoa have destroyed about 8 of the 20 that exist. Played Rebellion at the FLGS over the weekend. When inviting someone to play, a player said to the new person, "Oh, you should join. This is like Risk." Well, that's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing to say something like that because Rebellion is kind of like Risk. Sure, it's much more grandiose and much different in many ways, right? But it gives someone an idea of what to latch onto. Are you going to be doing a review of Dark Souls card game soon? I don't know. I took it to the gaming last week, but it didn't get played. So it's around. Have you seen the Fireball Island box art revealed today? Yeah, it looks really good. Should there be more games about Huddersfield? No. It shouldn't even ever exist in any game ever. Do you think you could be a good game designer? Probably not. I guess it's not because you read a lot of books. Does that make you a good writer? But no, reviewing a lot of games does not make you a good game designer, for sure. How was Canada? Canada was great, except it was quite cold. And I have no coat or boots. I was wearing a suit coat for most of the time, but you stay inside, so it wasn't too bad. I had some poutine, what made me happy, and some maple donuts, so that made me happy too. I got some Tim Hortons donuts. That's just, I like things like that. Let's see here. I recently started listening to the Dice Tower podcast. It's a bit disjointed. Starting from the most recent podcast and going backwards. Can you suggest a good episode to start listening from? Oh man, I don't know. We really need to do an episode 0 of the podcast. I think I'm going to work on putting that together. Maybe look to launch something like that in the summer. Do you think games are getting too expensive? We went from $40 to $70. Now we're passing $100 frequently. My opinion on it is no. I do not think board games are getting too expensive because they always were and always will be a luxury item. And there's always inexpensive ones and expensive ones. And if you go look at Axis and Allies, which I remember distinctly cost $50 in the 80s when I looked at it, and then do the inflation, it would be a way bigger price. Sure, the price for games is going up. So is the price for everything. Did you do anything special for Valentine's Day? I did not, except I sent my wife 50 roses in the mail from Canada. So I guess that's something special. I was really tired last night, and we don't go out to eat or anything on Valentine's Day. It's too crowded. Where is Manny? In the closet. Chicago deep dish or New York style pizza? I like to clarify I like both, but New York is obviously better for me anyway. I'm coming to Florida for 10 days. Where and when are you having your board game gathering? Always look under Board Game Meetup. Go to meetup.com and look for Miami Board Game Meetup, and you will find a schedule of when the different events are happening. But I mean, I may not be at those events. You'll have to, it's possible just based on things that are going on. Do you like trick-taking or ladder climbing games better? Probably trick-taking games. I like them both, but I like trick-taking games better. I heard Rado's moving back to the U.S. Any chance he'll be around for more marathons after that? Possibly, but do remember he's moving, I think, to Oregon, and bringing someone in from Oregon is pretty pricey. That corner of America is expensive to fly people in from. Can you beat Z in an arm wrestling match? Probably not. Have you ever been into LARPing? I have not, but that's not to say I wouldn't do it. I would probably consider it if I had the time. What's the logo on my shirt? It's not glowing, it just happens to be yellow. This is a shirt, oh, this is really bad. Maybe someone knows in the comments. I did a thing on Board Game Breakfast about them. A company made them. They just nice polo shirts with the little like board game logos, and I'm like, this one just has a pair of dice. It doesn't mean anything other than it's a pair of dice, but it looks a little classier and such. And I apologize right now, I forget the name of the company that does them. But maybe someone knows in the comments. Can you recommend any games that are ethically important, intellectually satisfying, or enlightening, something like Freedom, the Underground Railroad, or This War of Mine? This is actually something I'm going to talk about, I think, soon on Board Game Breakfast. This whole concept of, I'm not sure, I think we got to be careful sometimes about talking about the importance of a board game. I think board gaming itself is important. It teaches us to socialize and work with other people. It teaches a lot of great skills. But I don't know that a board game needs to be important, and I don't think there's anything wrong with playing some silly little game, and I don't think a game that teaches a message like This War of Mine or Freedom and Underground Railroads is inherently better than a game that does not. There are several games, and you mentioned two that I would think about at the top of my head. Pretty much any game, Freedom and Underground Railroads is a really good one in that regard, and there are many other games that do this. But I don't know. That might be a better question for someone else, I think. Tom, what do you think are the chances you'll enjoy a game like John Company? Well, I think I can be very specific. I've played John Company. It's good. I don't think it's my style of game. I think it's too long for what it is. And I played the short game of it. It's just, it's fine. It has a good historical flavor to it and a lot of cool things happening in it. Lots of interaction. I was engaged the whole time. It's probably too long for me, that's all. Let's see here. Getting a phone call from Texas, but I can't answer that right now. Thoughts on Toys R Us closing 150 stores? Well, it's a sad thing, right? I mean, we're never glad to see stores close, especially Toys R Us, which was such a staple of my childhood. Well, there was 3 stores. There was KB Toys. They were in every mall. And then there was Kitty City. I don't know how widespread that was, but Kitty City was a cheaper version of Toys R Us, and then there was Toys R Us. Well, also there was, when I was a kid, the Sears department store had a very big toy section. JCPenney was not, it was Sears, had the best toy. And in my town, Allentown, there was a store called Hess's. And Hess's was the kind of store that was very similar to the one from A Christmas Story, you know, where there's a Santa Claus, and it had that style. And some of my strongest memories from being a child is me going there with my grandmother and just walking into this store, and it was so Christmassy, and it was Christmas, and there was this toy section, it was like a winter wonderland. That was really cool. But anyway, all the way back to Toys R Us, so I'm sorry to see them go. They're certainly a different store than when I was there, especially since they kind of combined with Babies R Us and such. But the ones in our area are not closing, so that's good, because my kids still get a good, it's so fun going there. Have you ever, while playing a game, thought, so-and-so will love this, thinking about a friend, and showed them the game and it fell flat? Oh, sure, it happens a lot. I don't have any particular examples, but it definitely has happened a lot. We're like, oh, this person would like this game, and nope, they did not. I never did build the decks from Unstable with Z. No, that has not happened. How was my trip to Plan B Games? It was really fun. I got to see a lot of their games they're coming out with this year and play them. I got to spend a lot of time with Emerson and talk to him and just go and look at how their operation works. It was a really enjoyable time. I went gaming there with one of my favorite game groups in the world, I think, is centered in Montreal, Canada. They are the nicest, most welcoming people I've ever played game with, and I'm always very sorry that I'm only able to be there for, like, I was there for 4 hours or so, and I could spend a much longer time frame with them. They were so fun to play games with. It seems like you're constantly putting out Dice Tower content. How are you able to avoid getting sick badly enough to need to be away for a few days? Hey, if I'm sick and I need to be away, I need to be away. So when we're sick, we just, usually there's enough content that you don't notice us being sick because I don't put up stuff the same week. If you watch a live Q&A, you can then say, okay, have I seen Tom wear this same outfit somewhere else? And you'll know when I put that stuff up. So sometimes it's pretty close. I think there's something going up today that I recorded today. but for the most part, it's recorded ahead of time. Do I find themes offensive even if they're historical? I can. I'm more willing to give things slack because they're historical. It depends on if they're glorifying it or not. That's a kind of a tricky game-by-game question, I think. Why did you all stop rolling the D20 to determine who decides the order for the top 10s and then started it back up? Because we moved studios where we record it and the dice were in another room and I just didn't feel like going to get them. And then I moved the dice back to this room because I have a new area. Now this behind me here is still not done. The guy who's painting the graffiti stuff on the walls is coming tomorrow. Hope we've finished up. And there was a shelf where I'm going to keep different items, and the dice were one of the things for that shelf. So they're back in this room. Do you have an open game night dice that people can visit? My future wife and me would like to make a stop at our honeymoon. Well, it all depends. You always email me when you're coming through. We don't have a lot of people here at the studio just because there's a lot of wires and stuff. But we do game with people. If you, like I said, if you check out Miami Board Game Meetup. Did you have Tim Hortons coffee when you were in Canada? Yeah. I don't like coffee. So I'm sorry, the answer to your question is no. I don't really like coffee. I like the smell of it. And I don't like, I don't know, I just don't like coffee. And I know it's anathema to a lot of people, but the good news is I save so much money not liking coffee. I like tea, and tea is way cheaper than coffee for the most part. It's also a lot easier to get. You get a tea bag, whatever, and you're done. Although I had some cotton candy tea when I was in Canada. They asked me if I want some tea, and they brought me this thing with all these flavors, and it was cotton candy, and I was like, I gotta try it. It didn't really taste like cotton candy. It was okay, but it was a good tea, but it wasn't like great. It was just good, but it smelled amazing. It smelled like cotton candy. Oh, wait. I brought it home with me. I forgot about that. It's in one of the bags somewhere. Yeah, because they said, the person said, I don't really like it. You can have it. I was like, yes. I love always unique and new tea flavors. I'm not a big fan on the fruit flavored teas and the green teas, that kind. I don't dislike them, but I'm more on I like black teas. I like chai tea. I like red tea. I like English teas. I like the teas that wake you up. If it says it has caffeine, I like them more so. I do like also the interesting flavored teas. I like the peppermint teas and the eggnog flavored, the seasonal teas. I often like those. So I'm always on the lookout for some new kind of tea. What is Chief Sokoto's favorite game? His favorite game is, well, he does like Cosmic Encounter a lot, actually. But he also likes Fujama. But Fujama is a game, it's kind of board game, but it requires some mental telepathy involved. So I can't even play it, but he has been trained in that regard. So he plays it mostly with his organs, but he loves it. They put money on it sometimes, and I just watch. Will money raised in the Pledge Manager go towards locking previously announced stretch goals such as Z playing TI4? I don't believe that I ever said that was a stretch goal, and the stretch goals are mine to make or do away with. Just because Sam goaded Z into saying that doesn't mean we're actually going to do it. Besides, the Pledge Manager would have to make a lot of money to do that stretch goal, because remember, 10% of the money comes out from Kickstarter, right? So we're already down 10%. Adding some extra Pledge Manager would not really go that far. But don't get me wrong, we're glad to use it, but I'm not worrying about stretch goals right now. Right now we're saying, how can we get all this content done in this year? And some of the promised content we're going to start working on next week. What is it? You'll find out next week. What was your favorite recent top 10 to actually present and record? I have found myself rewatching your top 10 games by great designers from the Dice Tower cruise. No, that was actually from Dice Tower Con. But yeah, the live ones are always our favorite to do because the audience feedback is great. It's the same with anything, right? Most people have a hard time talking to a camera because they have a hard time imagining that's people. I don't. I know there's lots of you out there. But you're still not feeding back. The feedback is from your comments, right? But when you're an audience and people are giving you that feedback, it works really well. It could work poorly if I've been in situations before where I've done things or told a joke and there's like nothing. You know, that can be tough. Some audiences our best audience is our Essen audience, I think, but we have good audiences pretty much wherever we go. Any thoughts on the Matt Colville $1 million Kickstarter campaign? I don't know what that means, so I'll look it up right now. Matt Colville Kickstarter. Strongholds and Streaming. A 5th edition supplement for building strongholds and attracting followers. It looks like it's a D&D thing. I guess I'm gonna say okay. I'm sure it's fine. It made $1 million, so I don't know who Matt Colville is. Is he someone who does something? Someone's gonna have to tell me. I don't know. Cannes Festival nominees for family: Dice Forge, Flamme Rouge, Azul, Twinit. Twinit. I don't know that one. So which is my pick? Dice Forge, Flamme Rouge, or Azul? Ooh, that's a tough call. It's not Flamme Rouge. I'm gonna drop that one. Azul or Dice Forge? Well, Azul might win. Probably Azul will win. I like Dice Forge. I think Dice Forge, I would be kind of wait and say, is there more coming for it? So I'm going to give the nod slightly to Azul, but Dice Forge, I'd be happy with either one. So you did your top 10 racing games. You did not have Steampunk Rally. I haven't played it. That's why. What's the best food you've eaten in Canada? The best food I think I've ever eaten in Canada is the Donaires from Halifax. It's a really good sandwich. That I haven't seen them anywhere else. I'm sure there are other places, but I haven't seen them. Tom, do you think your love for dice and dice-based mechanisms has anything to do with your love of mathematics and numbers? Well, I'm certain that they are related. Did you try ketchup chips while up there? I saw ketchup chips while I was up there. I did not try them because I've had them before, and I love ketchup chips. So, hooray. Someone sent me a book. Have I gotten to it yet? I don't know what book it is. I've gotten several books. You'll have to email me and ask me. Am I a fan of Bob Marley's music? Meh is where I'm at there. What kind of music do I enjoy? Happy music. You know, music that is cheerful and joyful. So here, I will pull up my Spotify and I'll tell you some music. Like right now, this morning on the way to work, I was listening to La La Land, but that's just because my daughter was asking me what my favorite musical was. Me and Amy, she likes musicals a lot, and she's in love with The Greatest Showman. And so let's see. Here's what I have. I just added to my playlist some songs from The Greatest Showman. From now on, this is me and The Greatest Show. I was also Rolling in the Deep. The happy song, Whiskey and Wine from the Show Ponies, right back where we started from. Accentuate the Positive. Lifting the Sea, Let's Give Them Something to Talk About from Mike Fleetwood. Saturday Night from the Bay City Rollers. My Whole Life Long, Sunshine, Old Time Rock and Roll. People Gotta Be Free, the Motown song from Rod Stewart with the Temptations. Your Love Keeps Lifting Me Higher and Higher. Don't Mess with My Girl. Life is Better with You. Happily Ever After. Purple Rain, but not from Prince, but from Dwight Yoakam. I heard that in a restaurant. I thought it was hilarious. Do Your Thing. Come Together. Immigrant Song. Well, that's from because I watched Thor. Don't You Worry About a Thing. I'm Still Standing. And that's because I watched Sing. Wallace the Wondrous Warthog. Blitzkrieg Bop, Sweet Caroline, Here Comes the Lion Guard, Grow Old With You, Brass Brothers, Tell Him. Anyway, so you can see it's just all over the place. And probably no one else likes it. Thank you for the nice words in the designer series. You will continue to see them come out. I think one is going, I know this week I'm doing Stefan Feld, and then Jason is going to be doing the companion of the 5 games I didn't talk about. I will do that occasionally when I feel like I don't give enough credence to a designer. I'll bring in someone who I think does. Do you enjoy spotter games? Sure. Oh, I'm like 16 minutes behind. I better start moving here. Can you make a video where you explain the difference between area control and area majority and maybe a top 10 of each? No. But area control just means you have more stuff in an area than someone else does. I mean, that's area majority. Area control means you're fighting over it. I use them intermixed. When I say area control, I mean area majority. But I know that there's a slight difference between the two of them. Let's see here. What am I currently reading? Oh, that is a good question. Let me look. I'm currently reading the 11th, hang on, the 11th Science Fiction Mega Pack. Let's see. Shirts by Shorts. S-H-U-R-T-S is where the shirts are come from. Thank you guys for helping me out on that. Would you recommend Rising Sun with 6 players? I've not played with 6, but I wouldn't. I'm very happy with it. 5 is okay, but it feels a little bit lengthy. I really like the 3-player game. And 4 is a nice sweet spot for it too. I would probably try it with 6, but not very often. Anytime a game has a maximum number of players, I just don't play with that many players. What are your thoughts on Steve Jackson's expanse of their Munchkin line? Partnering with CMON and outsourcing to other companies to apply IPs. I think that's a cool thing. I hope we see more of it. It's already been being done by Wizards of the Coast anyway. Dungeons & Dragons, they've been putting stuff out through WizKids and other companies. At what point does a board game with app integration cross the line to become a computer game with a board? Who knows or cares, I think. Did you consider photosynthesis for your abstract strategy list you posted yesterday? No, because it has a strong theme, I thought. Even though it is essentially an abstract game, I discluded any game that the theme really does kind of make sense. In that game, light is coming and you are blocking it with trees. And yes, it has an abstract feel to it, but that is very definitely a theme that works and makes sense. So I did not include that one. I mentioned in my list I didn't include Through the Desert for some similar reasons too. The games I had on my list were very straightforward, although you could argue that maybe like the Duke is a fighting theme, but I don't know. I make my own rules for these lists. Will Dice Tower branded Dice Towers be available again at some time? You mean like the ones we just did in the Kickstarter? You could get one if you just go to Pledge Manager. You could go and pick up some of them. We're going to have them available there too. I'm excited to meet you guys in a week at Cardboard Crowns. I believe that's a board game cafe. What's your favorite game to play when you visit board game cafes while traveling? I just like to play games, right? It depends who's there, what they like to do, what games the cafe has, what games people bring, what games we brought. I don't imagine I'll be bringing too many games next week when we travel. I'll bring a few small ones. And I just get a kick out of playing stuff with people. Games I like, though. How do you choose contributors for Board Game Breakfast? Do they contact you? Sure. People contact me. I have them send me an audition video, and then I say yes or no. Realize I've said no to several people because it just what they did was not really something I wanted to put on the show. But there's a lot of really good stuff. I'm always looking for something different. I'm not like actively seeking contributors because I think Board Game Breakfast is a fairly long show as it is. But I don't. When someone emails me, I certainly have a say, hey, I'll look at something new that they've done. Who have been your longest contributors of a segment to Board Game Breakfast Show? Well, Jazz Marler and Suzanne are the two longest for sure. Snakes and Lattes, but then they've been they don't do it all the time anymore. So I would say Chaz and Suzanne. I don't know that once Chaz started, he has not missed one. Yeah, I think they're the two longest. Gummy worms or peach rings? Pfft, peach rings for sure. A lot of people are talking about how the Sears in their areas are closing down. Sorry. I feel like you have some disdain or distaste for those who are looking to learn and think while they are playing a game. I feel most who would desire these games wouldn't consider them better. All right, let me try to parse this because I feel like I'm not understanding it. I have some disdain or distaste for those who are looking to learn and think while they play a game. I feel most who would desire these games wouldn't consider them better. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're talking about the thing. No. I don't mean that at all. I think it's fine to take a game that's historical and look at it and say, wow, I can learn from that. But what I'm sometimes worried about is where sometimes I've seen people take this game and kind of elevate it, like this game is important to gaming because it does something beyond gaming. I'm not so sure on that. That's all I'm saying. I have no disdain for people in that regard. If you get some out of it, that's fine. But for example, this war of mine, I thought was a very sobering experience, but I thought the game was just okay. It was an interesting idea brought together, and people were like, well, you should like the game more because it teaches a lesson. Balderdash. I want a good game. I don't really care about the teaching. The teaching lesson part is good. That's great. But that does not overcome whether it's a good game or not. Now, Freedom of the Underground Railroad, on the other hand, is a very good game married with a good theme. But that's kind of where I'm at. Just because a game teaches something doesn't automatically mean I have to like it. How many Marvel Legendary expansions did you keep? Almost all of them. There's only a few I haven't kept. I didn't keep the Sin. The one, there was a couple expansions. I didn't keep Deadpool. There's just a few of the small expansions I haven't kept. What's the fundamental difference between European and American games? Where they're printed. Let's see here. Did you worry that the Dice Tower headquarters would be wrecked when you get back from Canada? Z duct taped to the ceiling, Sam passed out. Actually, it was super quiet when I got back. Maybe I'm the problem. Are there any games about snowball fighting? I believe there's at least 2 or 3, actually. Let's see here. I live in the Tampa Bay area. Are there game stores I'm aware of worth checking out? I know there's a cool stuff in Tampa Bay. I'm sure there's other game stores there too, but I'm not sure. Are we ever in this area for events? I've never been to Tampa, even as close as I am. I do want to go there at some point. Let's see. Are any of your girls besides Melody turning into serious board gamers? No, just Melody, I think. I'll sort you out with some amazing tea when you come to UK Games Expo later this year. Well, that's fantastic. One thing we're going to do this year when we go to conventions is we're going to make a broad statement that we just like stuff and not any one thing in particular. Because we said we liked Iron Brew last year, and I think we got like multiple gallons of the thing. And then we said we like stroopwafels, and we do. I don't know that we needed like 100 of them. So I don't think I'm going to say anything specific that we like anymore, because we do appreciate getting this, don't get me wrong. But I think we just like stuff in general, I guess, would be the thing. You don't have to bring us a gift, that thing. We certainly appreciate them for sure. But we are still eating stroopwafels. Have I ever tried rose hip tea? No, I don't know what that is. Why did change to your Gamma coverage? I've always preferred your coverage to Board Game Geek. Well, it's very nice of you. We changed it because there's a variety of reasons, and one just because of everything we're doing with Gamma. We just decided that we'd have a smaller. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes reasons. Just wanted to do a smaller presence this year. That's all. I'd love a series with the top 10 games for each letter of the alphabet. Well, you're in luck. I've already done it. I think it was 2 years ago. It's on our channel. Let's see. Sam playthrough of Star Wars Legion had great camera work. Will we see camera work in more videos in the future? Sure, I was there. I appreciate that. No, if we did the same thing when we played Mythic Battles, and we did the same thing when we played Rising Sun live. I think we did it with Rising Sun. You're going to start seeing more of that. We got one coming tomorrow. Although tomorrow's not this fantastic game, but I thought it'd be fun. We're going to play Star Wars Clue. I don't know. It looks interesting. Has a 3D board. And then we're going to play Clue the Museum Caper, because it's a game I talk about a lot. You find it at thrift stores and stuff. And I thought it'd be cool to teach it to Sam and Z. How do you store catacomb stuff? Whew, that was really hard. But I managed to stuff it all into 2 boxes. I think, well, maybe it's 3 boxes now. There's a lot. Melody sorted it out, so she'd probably be better to answer the question for that. What would you do if you gave a seal of excellence to a game, but when they come out with a second edition with the seal printed on it, but they made bad changes or the quality goes down? It has never happened, that I know of, so I'm not going to worry about it. Have you ever had a disastrous live audience show? No, I've had things happen in shows. I wasn't happy with our 2015 Gen Con show. When it was done, I was just like, that show could have been better. And the 2017 Gen Con show, parts of it could have been better. But I don't think we've ever had any disastrous shows or anything. Azul versus Dragon's Castle. I like Dragon's Castle better. I think Rado made the comment he might not be making videos anymore after his move. No, what Rado said was that in the move he won't be making comments, and until he gets his feet settled he won't be doing videos, and after that he will decide what to do in the future. So I wouldn't worry about it right now. Moving is a strenuous, difficult thing to do. Has any fan ever cosplayed as Chief Sokotoa at a convention? No. But Chief Sokotoa has been to several conventions. He was at Essen. You probably wouldn't have recognized him. To cosplay as Sokotoa, you would need to be able to access the 5th dimension. No, not really. I mean, if you saw him, he just looks quite normal. Any thoughts on best abstract games for more than 2 people? I'm actually going to do a top 10 list on that at some point. And when I do that, I might break my rule about not having the theme, because a lot of games for abstract games for more than 2 people have a theming type thing. What did you think of The Greatest Showman? I haven't seen it yet. My kids have. I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully I'll wait till it comes out on video. What if Tom is a closeted black metal fan? I am not. Highly dislike that. Remember I said like happy music. What will you eat for lunch? Something. Let's see here. I was wondering if Rising Sun is better with more. Negotiation games sometimes benefit from more players. Yeah, but you know what? I really like it with 3. I was really surprised, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. Katie said she got Hanamakoji, Raptor, and Hero Realms. Which should you play first? I would play Raptor first. Lots of fun. Let's see here. Does Rising Sun meet the ridiculous amount of hype it had? I really think it does. It's easily one of my favorite games. I think hype is not always the best thing, right? You know, hype and, oh, this game is hyped. I mean, we got a game coming out in a week or so that on Kickstarter it's going to be hyped, the Batman game, right? Hype, 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 hype. And that hype is super strong. But you know what? Sometimes it's still correct. Just because they're hype doesn't mean a game is bad. And there's almost like people anti-hype, like, can't be as good as people say. Just can't be. I mean, I've said that, yeah. And then I find out that, oh, indeed it was. When will we find out how to add additional items to our Kickstarter pledge? When we send out the thing. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to go out, but I'm hoping as soon as we possible. But again, we need to make sure it's right behind the scenes. There's more involved in building this than you might think. Have you heard Flip 4's new podcast, Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereal? I have. Oh. I just had a thought ring in my head. Okay. Anyway, do I like licorice? It's okay. The licorice I like, though, is the black licorice with the white filling in the center, the cream setting. I really like those. Because licorice has kind of a bitter taste to it. So by itself, I don't dislike it, but it's okay. With that white cream filling, it's a really good combo. Let's see. Oh, I'm still 10 minutes behind. I'm trying to move through here as quick as possible. On the meetup website, it says you guys have a big meetup Saturday, the 24th monthly meeting. Are you and the gang showing up? Is the 24th next weekend? Yeah. Unfortunately, we will not be there because we will be in Ohio during that date. Jason will be there. Maybe Derek will be there. Maybe Kenny will be there. Unfortunately, we will not. Are you losing weight? Your clothes are looking a little baggy. Well, thank you. I've lost a little bit of weight, although the trip to Canada, I probably need to work that off. Do you have any favorite dead memes? Don't get me wrong, I smile at memes when I see them sometimes, but I'm not. Sam is the meme fan. Sam loves and reads them and reads them and reads them. I just don't really find them, I don't find them as original, right? It's funny sometimes, but I don't know that they always work. When will I be doing a review of Rising Sun? Oh, we did that last year. It's already done, our review of Rising Sun. But several of the expansions I'll be reviewing soon. Rose hips are the bulb left on the stem after the bloom dies. Oh, okay. What weird food combinations do you really enjoy? Like a weird food combination? I'm sure there's something. I don't know. I just like, I don't know. I don't necessarily look for weird food combinations. I will say that what I like to do is I take like a tortilla chip, the bowls, and I normally don't eat those. I was like, they're kind of shaped weirdly. But I filled a plate with them, and I put a block of cheese in each one, and then melted that block so it filled it up like a cup of cheese. That was a good idea. That's not a weird food combination. Also, though, I learned an amazing factor, something that blew my mind. I don't know why I haven't done it earlier. And that is if you go to the store, I went to Publix, which is an amazing grocery store down south here, and I went to the deli there, and I was like, instead of you slicing the cheese, can I just get a block of it? And the guy was kind of flummoxed because I guess a lot of people don't ask that, but he said sure, and so I bought the whole block. It wasn't a big block; it was like one that was like this big, and then I sliced it up into blocks because they have cheeses that you don't normally see. Like, so they had this 3-pepper cheese I really liked. They had a dill pickle Havarti type cheese, and I love that stuff. And so having that in blocks, and some of that cheese, like, when you put cheese and melt it, like when you make a grilled cheese sandwich, like the basic thing is to use those nasty cheese in the plastic wrap, like those American cheese. That's garbage stuff. But it's not awful when it's melted, right? I've had them on, you get them on your McDonald's cheeseburger, or grilled cheese made those isn't awful. Because when cheese is melted, it gets twice as good. That's just the law. But then if, you put better cheese in a grilled cheese sandwich, but then you put some of this weird cheese and melt it, it's amazing what you can have. Do you need some Huckleberry hot sauce? Yes. I had vanilla ice cream, Nutella, and pickle chips last night. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm looking for some questions. A lot of these things here are kind of, people are still talking about music. A lot of people like music. Ranking of flavors of buy. It's probably watermelon, orange, and then blueberry. Those are my 3 favorites, although there isn't that many flavors. Well, I guess there is a lot of flavors, but those are my 3 favorite. If we bring you guys some snacks, are there any allergies we need to be aware of? Pfft, don't worry about the allergies. I have no allergies, so you bring something and someone else, I don't know that anyone has any allergies. If they did, I'll eat it. I'm a little interested in allergies. I know that like allergies can affect other people to some degree. But when I was flying home on the plane yesterday, they said someone on the plane has allergies to peanuts, so we asked that you don't eat peanuts in the plane, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing because if I was in the back and I wasn't planning on eating peanuts, but let's say I'm in the back eating peanuts, can that really affect someone in the front? And I'm not asking this to be snarky. I really don't know. I know that there's like overprotective mothers who their kids have an allergy and they don't want their kid in the same room as that food. And I can understand that because, you don't know with kids, but with adults, am I like throwing my food at other people? But maybe is it the fumes of peanuts? It's an interesting subject for me. I don't have like a strong connection to peanuts that I care that much, but I thought it was interesting that they said that. Would you back a Dinosaur Island Kickstarter to get dinosaur pieces? Oh, I would certainly consider it. It would depend on how cool they were. What are you getting up today to do in the studio? Well, I recorded some reviews today, and I did a first impressions of Coinbra. I did that this morning, and then I recorded a board game a board game pub that I visited in Montreal, and then I recorded some videos, and then I worked with Kenny. We're doing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff with emails. I worked on some of my emails. I have a huge ton I have to go through. I'm about to do some unboxings. We do those daily unboxings, so I got 7 of those ready to do. That's not next week, but the week after next week. And then I have some phone calls. We have several meetings today. One is with the pledge manager. I got a secret meeting with someone else. And then I got another meeting with someone else. And then more emails. That's mostly today's effort. And tomorrow we'll be doing a live playthrough. And I'll be starting to record videos for next week, getting things ready for that too. Grilled cheese with peanut butter. That's great. Maybe. I don't know if I would do that. I might try it. I like this. When we're going to get another Q&A with Laura, you have great chemistry. Well, that's good. I'm glad that I have good chemistry with my wife. So we're coming up, on 19 years? Yeah, pretty soon we'll be on 20 years of marriage. That's not this coming year, but that's 2019. That we'll have been married for 20 years. I do love her very much. And in 20 years from now, I will still be talking about that. There will not be a change. Unless one of us dies. But other than that, when I said till death do us part, I meant it. Hopefully she did also. Let's see here. Yes, I understand people are pregnant, mix all kinds of weird things together. Oh, you know what a weird food combination? Well, I thought it was weird, but it's really, really good that I really like, and that's watermelon with cheese. I am not a big watermelon person at all. But I went to a buffet one time where they had a little watermelon with cheese, and I was like, what is this? So I tried it, because why not? And I was like, that really is a good combo. I've since come to the conclusion that apples and cheese is much better. Sliced apples with sliced cheese, you eat them together, and it's just so good. So good. And fairly healthy, too, which I like. Am I the biggest fan of Pixel Tactics in the Dice Tower? Probably. Of the main group here, I think so. Malt vinegar, I do like that. Why are we talking about food? Come on, let's get to some game stuff here. Peanuts in the air can't cause problems. Oh, can cause? I don't know how to read that sentence. Peanut in air can cause problems. Okay, well there you go. I didn't know, now I do. Well, I'm getting a lot of response on this, a lot of things reading about this. Yeah, because, you can get all caught up. And the problem, I think, with the allergies is there's a lot of parents who get so hyped up with their kids about every little thing, and I think maybe they ruin it for other parents because they're like, oh, my kid can't have any of that food, and you're like, look at the kid, and you're like, are they allowed to eat anything? They'll give you a list. We threw a party for one of our kids, and half the kids couldn't eat the cake or the pizza we got or all this stuff, and I'm like, really? This seems pretty common then that everyone can't eat? You know, I know that some people have allergies, but is it this common? And so there are some people and they get really hyped up about that stuff. So then when someone comes along and their kid actually has a real severe allergy problem, you might want to chalk it up to the hyper over, helicopter type parents that exist. So I think that can be tough. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, we're almost done. Watermelon with cheese. Yes, that is odd. There's my odd food. But I was surprised at how good it was. Some slice of watermelon with some cheese. It adds some, I don't know how to explain it. It's just good. It is. Pears and cheese. I have not tried that yet. I've had grapes and cheese. That was pretty good. Christmas cake and cheese. That one I have not had it. All right. Well, you know what? I think I'm looking for a game question so that people don't think this is just a thing here. What's the next game you're doing? A live play. I've already mentioned that's tomorrow. We're doing a live play of Star Wars Clue and Clue Museum Caper. Have any of the changes to the new sets of DC deck building changed my mind about the game? Not really. Broom Service versus Kingdom Builder? Oh, I don't really like Kingdom Builder that much, and so Broom Service for sure. Alrighty, well, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time on another live Q&A, which will probably be Monday, so not too far away. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Thank you.